we're sitting here with the June issue of The Engineer, and I think there are two things that really striking about the front cover. One are the words at the top here, 168 years of technology and innovation. That's a pretty amazing achievement. So that's the magazine itself.
Yeah, so The Engineer, it was launched in 1856. So in the sort of the heat of the Industrial Revolution. I've not been on the title all that time.
I was just going to ask you. You're far too young. So what would the magazine have been doing then? What would people be reading?
So it's interesting. We've got the archive, the physical archive in our offices, and it's a real sort of record, really, of some of the big kind of trends that have shaped society. So The Engineer was launched to cover technology innovation wherever it was happening. And if you look at the early issues, a lot of that was around sort of agricultural technology, and then quite a bit of industrial manufacturing technology, and you move into the 1940s. Obviously, the Second World War was driving a lot of innovation in defence. 1950s, nuclear energy was just emerging. The 70s was the era of sort of electronics and the beginning of the computing era. So it's a sort of a record of all these great technological leaps, really, and we're at the heart of some of those leaps at the moment as well.
Well, and the other interesting thing about the cover as well is this month it's covered in images of women through different generations. Explain a little bit about what you're doing here.
Yeah, sure. It's quite unusual for us to have people on the cover, actually, for a start. Usually it's bits of technology, but this month, June, and in fact June every year, there's a special day to celebrate the contribution of women in engineering, International Women in Engineering Day. It's 23rd of June this year, and the whole idea of the initiative is to just shout about some of the amazing things that female engineers have done to try and inspire women and girls and and men, really, to think about improving the gender diversity in industry. It's a real problem.
But what's so extraordinary is you look at some of these different women and the most incredible achievements, but here we are in 2024, and we're going to be talking to some girls from the charity She Can Engineering. But it's extraordinary that we're still struggling to support and to promote women in engineering.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So what we've done on this cover is tried to. So we've got 20 female engineers, and it's a snapshot. It's not a kind of scientific exercise particularly. We reached out to our various networks and asked people to nominate women engineers who they think have had a major impact, and so we're celebrating the impact that female engineers have had on a variety of sectors across a long period of time. And if you look on the cover, we've got people from way back at the beginning of the last century. You've got
Amy Johnson there, haven't you? You've got
Amy Johnson. We've got Beatrice Schilling, who was one of the engineers who helped sort of win the Battle of Britain, basically, with an innovation that stopped the Merlin engines on the Spitfires from stalling. And then we've got current day female engineering heroes like Yewande, Akinola, and lots of other people. So
it is fascinating, actually. Look, you and I are sitting having this conversation today, and today we are commemorating the D-Day landings. Yeah. And of course, women were absolutely integral in not just as the radio operators back at home. They were also some of the machinery, some of those vehicles that are being used. Women were the ones who were working on them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's. I think what's remarkable about those female engineers from 80 years ago is that the barriers that stood in the way of them sort of entering industry and becoming engineers were far more significant than the barriers that are faced by women and girls today. I mean, there's a lot of activity around encouraging women to go into engineering. There are still obstacles, there are still challenges, there's still a lot that industry needs to do to improve on things. But yeah, back in the 1940s, it wasn't so easy, and so these were real trailblazers.
It was interesting. You actually started off today with one of the first sort of panel discussions, and it was all women on the panel.
Yeah. And it's really. I mean, I've seen things change in the relatively short period of time 20 years or so that I've been reporting on industry, there was always an effort to include women and make sure that there was some balance represented on those kind of discussions. But now it just happens naturally. You know, if you want some experts to talk on any particular field or topic, then you're going to end up with, you know, at least half of those experts being female engineers. So things are definitely moving in the right direction.
And it was interesting. I think one of the things that the interesting things is about your discussion was the challenges that are being faced, and that's one of the things that I think those women were really highlighting.
Well, I mean, that's the great thing about engineering, and it's what we really try and celebrate on The Engineer, is the role that engineers play in addressing the fundamental, huge challenges that society faces. You know, they're at the front line of addressing those challenges, and that was just one of them today that we're talking about. Arguably the biggest challenge of all, getting to net zero, decarbonising society, and it's fundamentally an engineering challenge. So, it's an exciting place to be.